Well, how y'all are this afternoon? This is your buddy George Jones over here at the Bergen Gun. No, I'm down here in the basement area of one of my friends who's a consummate private collector of various things. And what we're going to talk about from his reference collection is U.S. bayonets from World War II. Now, a lot of the bayonets used in World War II were actually World War I issued bayonets or modified World War I bayonets. Now, some of the bayonets on this table that you can see, one of them is fake. Can you guess which one it is? Well, I'll let you off the hook. We actually have two. It's this one and this one. This is a completely fake, new-made U.S. World War II 16-inch bayonet. It works really nice. It looks just exactly like one, but you can tell it's not right. The markings are incorrect for a real bayonet. And the fact that it's brand new in its appearance, that should be a dead giveaway right there. Now the value of this thing is somewhere around 60 bucks, okay? But the markings are not the markings of a U.S. manufactured World War II, World War I bayonet. They're just not. Also, the scabbard, which looks nice, is incorrect. The metal just isn't right, and we'll be looking at that. Also, they've copied the Victory Products logo right here, which is on almost all World War II scabbards of this type, are manufactured by Victory Products. But here's the thing. The correct bayonet scabbard has the Victory Products on the back. This one has it on the front. And it's just not, it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't feel right. You should be able to feel it and feel a little bit of fiberglass texturing in there where they put the canvas material or whatever they formed it with the fiberglass resin, and this just is not. You just clearly see that this is injected molding. Okay, we've talked about that for a minute. Let's put that guy back together and lay him aside and talk about another fake bayonet that's on the table. This is a rubber, if you want to call it that, urethane molded bayonet and scabbard. It's all one piece. Looks kind of like a World War II 10-inch bayonet, but actually it is a movie prop. And this particular movie prop was actually used on camera in the movie Saving Private Ryan. So, and it's somewhat collectible. I mean, you know, the value of this is probably around $50, $60, you know, because it is in fact, verifiable movie prop used on camera. Okay, we'll lay that guy aside. Now, let's start out at the beginning. This is a World War I configuration. Actually, this thing was manufactured by Rock Island Arsenal, dated 1907. Now, it's very possible that this bayonet was used or issued during the World War II period, as quite a few of them were. This is manufactured by Rock Island Arsenal. Manufactured 1907 and has the correct ordnance flaming bomb, as well as the U.S. stamp and the property serial number. It is fully functional. The bayonet scabbard lock works. That's this button right here. And it has smooth wooden grips on it, which was a World War I period thing. Later, when they brought these into service in World War II and modified them again, they put the black Bakelite grips on them. So this configuration of bayonet is very rare and very nice. Let's talk about the scabbard for this thing for a minute. Okay, it's canvas, but really it's not. It has a leather, probably 10-ounce leather tip on the scabbard, but the scabbard is actually internal. This is actually a bag that the scabbard goes in. The scabbards are more of this period were made out of wood, covered with rawhide, and cinched together, sewn together with sinew or catgut, and then fixed to the scabbard throat with rivets. Really, really good workmanship. This was made at or before World War I. So this is actually over 100 years old and is still in functional condition. And basically, the hemp canvas bag, and that constitutes the complete scabbard. Pretty cool stuff. M1 1905 bayonets have a locking device that holds the bayonet in it until you push the release and it comes out. Okay. That will give us some room there. All right, now, here's a World War I configuration bayonet in a World War II scabbard. It's full length. It is 1908 manufacture, Rock Island Arsenal manufactured. It's in a World War II scabbard, but it retains its smooth wooden grips. This bayonet's in pretty good shape. It has the U.S. property mark on the back and the U.S. property number, which fakes just don't have. And the scabbard's, verifiable to be real. You can look at it and see a little bit of the grain of the canvas and the fiberglass wearing through, and you can feel the grain of the canvas and the fiberglass, something you can't feel on the fakes. All right. Now, let's get a little bit more modern stuff going. Here is a genuine U.S. military, United States Navy Mark I training bayonet. This is a real U.S. issue item. Just like a regular 1905 bayonet. Same scabbard. And the bayonet blade, the quilling, the hilt, and the grips are all some type of phenolic plastic in use in World War II. And it is a training, 16-inch training, and possibly parade bayonet. These are extremely rare. This one's got some damage on it. The muzzle hook, the little circle, is broken off. And to tell you the truth, this is the best example of one of these I've ever seen. Marked US, Mark I, USN, and it has a serial number and manufacturer's stamping on the back of it. Okay, what have you done with this thing? Well, it's for bayonet training. It's for bayonet training where you have soldiers or sailors who are training on each other instead of seagrass sacks full of sand. I don't know how much this is worth, but I'd say it'd be well over $300 in this condition. All right. Here's another World War I, World War II conversion. This one is manufactured by Springfield Armory, dated 1914. It's had its wood grips replaced with phenolic plastic or Bakelite. It's in almost perfect condition. It's got the little clip point on here, and it's just a nice bayonet. What's it worth? You get around to it. Well, what's it worth? If I go to the show and buy this bayonet, what's it worth? This is like a $300 number with a good scabbard that's not all tore up. And of course, with this style, you can inspect the scabbard. You typically get it out of there and take a look at it. And there it is. This has a different style stitching on it. This may be chitlin. It may be pig intestine. Okay, and it's laced together with sinew like it normally would be. I don't think this has been redone. I think it's just this manufacturer's style. Okay, so you've got a good impression that it's all original and complete like it should be. Locking mechanism works good. This one appears to have an aluminum throat in them. Some of them had an aluminum throat, some of them didn't. Okay, we're getting down to something else here. Now, they went to cutting bayonets at World War II because they were basically too long. Okay, and they came up with a new 1905 pattern bayonet, which was 10 inches long. So we're going to look at this one and a cut bayonet. If I can find one, oh, here's one. This one and a cut bayonet. So what they basically did was, this bayonet was originally 16 inches long, manufactured by Springfield Armory. All the numbers and letters are on it correctly like it should be. Okay, and is in fact real. This one is Utica Cutlery, UC proof mark on it, correct U.S. flaming bomb and so forth, property number and so forth. This is a good bayonet, but it's manufactured as a 10-inch bayonet. This one has been modified to be a 10-inch bayonet. And what they've done is, there's two different styles of these. One is the spear point like this, and one is the swept cut like this one. They swept the cut back, just like a regular knife blade, and then they took a little bit off of the spine to make it go in through coat material a little bit easier. Okay, now, the other one is the spear point, which we don't have one of those available right now, but here's what it would look like. Instead of the fuller being the same depth on both ends, the fuller would simply play out down about right here, and then, you know, you could tell that they reground it as a spear point bayonet as opposed to the swept point. If I can get these ones back in the right scabbards again. Here's another one. Let's look at it. This one is Utica Cutlery. No, this is the rare one. This is Powell Cutlery, P-A-L, and it is manufactured originally as a 10-inch blade. It's manufactured by Powell Cutlery, which is a subsidiary of Remington Arms. So in 1943, it looked like all of the big arms makers were going to hog up all the market and steal all the business from the smaller manufacturers. Kind of like Microsoft about 15 years ago, and Congress stepped in and broke them up into smaller companies. Well, they did the same thing, right slap dab in the middle of the war, they did the same thing to the big manufacturers. So you had Remington and Winchester and so forth were hogging up all the business. So it made them break certain companies up into smaller businesses. So what Remington Arms did, they formed Powell Cutlery. Then they went to a manufacturing facility which was Southern Railroad Shops System, and they started manufacturing these under the Powell name through Southern Railroad. Of course, the railroad had huge machine shops and manufacturing facilities on their own, and that's how Powell Cutlery came about. 10-inch, uncut, almost perfect issue condition. All right, let's see, let's put this one away before somebody cuts their arm off on it. All right, lay that aside, make us some room over here. Let's talk about carbine bayonets. Carbines did not receive bayonet lugs until late 1944, early 1945. So basically what they did was they took the M3 fighting knife configuration and added a Promel to it to where it could be mounted onto a bayonet lug, and changed the cross guard to be configured to where it'll, fit on the end of a rifle. and basically took the M3 trench knife and turned it into the M4 bayonet. And that's what we have here. Now, the trench knife this is a Case US M3 blade marked. Case currently manufactures and sells an M3 trench knife, but there's small idiosyncrasies to it. The best way to tell a new manufactured Case trench knife from an original trench knife is a battered shank. Okay? The way they did was they compressed the pommel and the leather down in a jig and used a punch press to batter the end of the shank to where the pommel wouldn't come off. On newer made ones, you see there's no battering on the bottom of the tang, and there's a pin somewhere on there to hold the pommel on. That's the best way to tell the post-war manufactured trench knife, K-bar, or anything, is the pommel is held on by bratting it on there, as opposed to pushing it on there and holding it on there with a pin. This one's worth, hey boys, I'm telling you, this thing's worth a lot of money. Just looks like an old grubby ash knife, but when it comes right down to it, at a military show, this one would bring anywhere from $350 to maybe $500, because it is a rare manufacturer. The Boker is another blade mark that's a rare manufacturer and is worth a lot of money. These guys are manufactured by Powell, Boker, Case, Imperial, and so forth. And they're worth a lot of money. So you go through Papa's trunk and you find one like this, you know, and you call your insurance man, have it added to your homeowner's policy, because it's worth money. Oh, let's see. Here's another one in pretty good shape. Now, originally, these guys came with M8 scabbards. Now, this one has the thong wrapped around it, but this is an original M8 scabbard, US M8 right there. No metal tip on it. Then they come out with the M8A1. What happens is guys sit down on their bayonets and sit down on their trench knives, and they break the tip off the scabbard. So they reinforced them late in the war with this, and it became the M8A1 scabbard. That's about the only difference. Let's look at another bayonet here. This one is made in Japan. Is it fake? Nope, it's real. This one's made in Japan by Millipar. Is that right? Knifey. It's made in Japan by Knifey. The U.S. was trying to rebuild the economy of Japan after World War II, and during the Korean conflict, a lot of knives and bayonets were manufactured by a company in Japan named Knifey. And Knifey manufactured, I think they made some M3 trench knives. They also made M4 bayonets. They also made M5 bayonets, which is the modern post-Korea version of the M1 bayonet. And if you look at it, it's got a bright blue blade on it and so forth, but it's real. I would have been taken right off the end of the floor in Japan, taken to a military establishment, and issued to troops arriving in Japan for deployment in Korea. This is real. You see it, it's Japanese, but it's real. All right, let's look at this guy and see what we've got here. This is a no blade marked trench knife. Not blade marked at all. The markings for the manufacturer will be on the crossguard. This one is ACC, and I forget what ACC stands for, but it is a real manufacturer. So it's marked M3 ACC US. It's real. All right. Oh, Lordy. Now, we're getting down to things here. Let's look at these guys. These guys were issued all the way through Vietnam. This is basically the soldier's short Bolo machete. These guys were issued to medical teams for chopping poles to create tents, chopping poles to create litters. This one's manufactured by Plum and is model of 1917 US, and it looks like, I can't read the date on it. Some of these guys, when they were ground, the dates got obscured. 1903, 1908. But these guys were in the system for a long time. They actually manufactured some of these in the early 1960s for issue in Vietnam, and they're marked the same way. But you could tell by the cross guard and so forth and the grips that they were manufactured later. Same arrangement. Basically, the scabbard is in a canvas bucket. I don't know if that'll come out there or not. I'm not going to fool with it. This one's manufactured by Plum, and these guys are about $250, $300 if you see them at the show. Let's look at this one. This one's been tightened where the scabbard cover has become loose. They went along and sewed it up the side to put the scabbard cover on it and make it a little tighter. Who made this one? This one's made by CT. I don't know who CT is. I'd have to ADCO, Chicago, 1918. This one's pretty nice. And these guys are worth, just like that one, maybe $250, $300 today at the show. I remember when I was a teenager, you could buy one of these things at the Army Navy store for about $4. And now, they're worth hundreds of dollars. So, there's a little primer on how not to get ripped off when you go buy yourself a bayonet, trench knife, or bolo. Oh, there's one more little gizmo. This is the version of the Pilot Survival Kit Bolo machete. You see these around, they're kind of chunky and goofy looking, but they are in fact real. This one's manufactured by Camulus. They were made by Utica Cutlery, Cutlery, pronounce it however you want to, and a few other manufacturers, I suppose, that I can't name. If you see one of these guys around, they're worth a little bit of money. Last one I saw sold for about $125 at the show. I've got one of these in my personal collection, and I forgot to bring it for this filming, but it's basically this one. Mine's made by Cutlery, and I have an Imperial folding pilot survival knife that matches this, and it all goes into a leather scabbard with the pocket knife and the folding bayonet or folding bolo, you know, and snaps together. This would have primarily been in the Navy pilot survival kit and his seat pack survival kit. That's where this would have been found. The Woodsman Powell was on Army aircraft. All right, that's about the size of it. Reference, where's my reference? Reference for this little lecture is from J.C. Harrington's Doughboy the Dogface, and as we've talked about before on here, it's one hell of a reference book, buddy. Everything in the world is in there. All right, then. Lactate, Surefire, commentate, and subscribe. God bless everybody. God bless America. Be kind to everyone you meet, but have a plan. Go ahead and push the button there, buddy.